Hi everybody, I'm Lights Camera Jackson. Welcome to a brand new episode of LCJ Live. Today is Sunday, May 27, 2018. Hope you're enjoying your Memorial Day weekend, extended weekend. A lot of people off tomorrow. Are you going to the movies tomorrow? We'll talk about that. Coming up, big anniversary for one of the biggest animated movies of the 21st century. Madagascar turns 13 today. We'll talk about that. Plus, Show Dogs in the top 10 again this weekend. Huge controversy surrounding this movie. I'll give you some inside info. And this week was the series finale of one of my favorite TV shows of all time, The Middle. I finally watched the 1-hour series finale last night. I will give my review of it coming up. Try not to give away too many spoilers if you still haven't watched it yet. But boy, was it an emotional experience. But first, here on LCJ Live, as always, we got to talk box office. Holy cow, look what happened to Solo. Solo, a Star Wars story, easily the #1 movie in America this weekend. It was expected, but it was expected to make a lot more money than it did. How's $83 million for the 3-day weekend? Whoa, that is so low. Literally so low. How about that? It actually makes sense. Look at these numbers of the other Star Wars movies. We had Force Awakens from 2015, $248 million opening weekend. Rogue One, the next spin-off, $155 million. And then Last Jedi, that came out last December, $220 million. This Star Wars movie, $83. What happened? Well, look, it's the 4th Star Wars movie under the Disney umbrella with Lucasfilm in just 2.5 years. 4th in 2.5 years, 2nd in 6 months. It is a spin-off movie. It's a prequel. Clearly, it's oversaturation. But people are going to say, why did Disney put this out now? 2 words, Mary Poppins. All the other Disney Star Wars movies have come out in December 2015, 2016, 2017. But we have this one, Solo, in May 2018. That's because Disney has Mary Poppins Returns set to come out on Christmas Day of this year. And they're doing this for a number of reasons. Number 1, to get the families over the holidays. Number 2, they really think Emily Blunt can get her first Academy Award nomination for playing Mary Poppins in this movie. Meryl Streep is in it. You know darn well Disney will try to put Meryl up for supporting actress consideration for her performance in the film. So they wanted to come out in award season time and holiday time, and that's when a Mary Poppins movie should really come out. Now, the original back in '64 did come out in August, but this one has to come out around Christmas time. So that's why we have Solo in May. You're not going to get the 9th episode of Star Wars until December 2019, so we do have a 1.5 year wait on the next one. But with Solo as well, I think the mixed reviews, it was mixed to positive, but just people weren't really as excited about this one. Maybe because Alden Ehrenreich, the star of this movie, is not a big name. The biggest names in the cast are the supporting players, Emilia Clarke, Woody Harrelson, Donald Glover, but not your main star. And, of course, the controversy surrounding the firing of the original directors of the movie, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, replacing them with Ron Howard, who is a very talented director, but he simply had to get the job done when it came to making this movie. Coming on board less than a year ago, finishing things out, he couldn't really put his touch, his spin on this film. I thought the film was okay, but it's not a great movie by any means. Same goes for my critic colleague Jim Dixon. You can look for his reviews at jim-dixon.com. He messaged me that he saw the movie last night. Theater was pretty empty. And I saw it Thursday night. Theater I was at pretty full. I'd say 70 to 75% was actually full for Thursday night. All the diehards came out. Even some kids came out because of having Memorial Day weekend off. But a lot of theaters, they're letting go of staff early. I was talking to some people at another theater around here, letting go of staff early. Not nearly the big crowds they were expecting, not doing anything, and really hurting the drive-ins as well, because this certainly would be a big drive-in play. So again, $83 million for Solo, a Star Wars story. Disney is saying it will get to $101 million by the end of Monday. But look, they're either going to fudge the numbers or Solo's going to come close and not get to that $100 million mark by the end of Monday. This is a huge loss for Disney, who now has to suffer through the next 3 weeks until they get to Incredibles 2, which I think will be the biggest movie of the summer, possibly the biggest movie the entire year. I do think it will give Avengers a run for its money for the total, and maybe even Black Panther. Incredibles 2 will be humongous. But until then, Disney has to suffer with the fact that Solo did not do nearly as well as it probably could have. Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales, came out last Memorial Day weekend last year, also a Disney movie. You look at those numbers, it only made $63 million in the 3-day, $78.5 million in the 4-day open, which was low for the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise and definitely lower than Disney had hoped for. Solo is clearly a little better than the last Pirates of the Caribbean movie, but another Memorial Day disappointment for Disney. Maybe we'll see Disney stay away from this weekend from now on. Maybe there's something about this weekend, something about this not being the real start to the summer movie season anymore, like it used to be, that Disney may want to stay away from Memorial Day weekend. Deadpool had a huge drop this weekend because it made about $125 million last weekend, down to $42.7 million for the 3-day this weekend. Deadpool took a hit. Avengers didn't have quite as big of a hit, $16.5 million to come in third. Book Club also did very well second weekend, $9.5 million. Life of the Party with Melissa McCarthy rounds out the top 5, followed by Breaking In with Gabrielle Union in 6th place. In 7th place this weekend, dropping about half of its money, is the family film Show Dogs. Here's the poster right here. It made $6 million last weekend, made about $3 million this weekend. Obviously, it's not a hit by any means. But it has been in the headlines the past several days over some big controversy from some scenes in the movie. Back in February, Peter Rabbit had a big controversy over use of EpiPens and seizures and allergic reactions involving some of those characters and the mean-spirited nature of that movie. And the folks at Sony had to apologize for all of that. Here we get another live-action family film with some animation involved that has a big controversy. I have not seen Show Dogs, I will admit that, but there are some scenes in the film, according to all these reports and what people have stated online, involving people touching the dog's genitals in order to check everything out. It is obviously a process that happens with dog shows. Everything's got to be checked, all of that. But the fact that the scenes involve these characters being touched and going to their happy place made a lot of parents groups very upset. They took to social media, they took to websites and said, this film is terrible with these scenes. It's inappropriate, it's vulgar, it's rude, it's all of that. And so the folks at Global Road, the studio behind the film, apologized for it, saying we had no intent to make this material seem dirty or anything in that regard at all. But a couple days later, they did decide we're actually going to cut the scenes out of the movie and show the new edited version, resend it to all the theaters around the country to start showing for this weekend. So that's exactly what happened. In talking with some of the folks at one of the local Regal Cinemas theaters around here, they said that they got the new version of Show Dogs fairly quickly. They received it on Wednesday and started showing it in their theater on Friday. Global Road said to them, we don't want you to stop showing the original version those couple days in between because the movie's still got to make some money for them. But the new version started around the country on Friday. Obviously, this controversy doesn't help the publicity, the marketing of the movie at all. Dropped to $3 million. It'll go down to about $1 million next weekend and then be out of every single theater around the country. But it is so rare for a studio to decide surrounding a controversy or at all, hey, we're going to re-edit the movie and send you a brand new version, cutting out several scenes in a film's second weekend. That is so rare to happen, but a big controversy surrounding Show Dogs. So, again, 7th place for Show Dogs this weekend, and again, it'll fall off for sure in the coming weeks. If you're just joining us here on LCJ Live, Madagascar, 13th anniversary is today. Do you guys remember seeing Madagascar when it came out on May 27, 2005? I still remember going to the theater. I can still picture myself walking down, I think it was the last theater on one of the sides, and seeing that poster where all the animal characters, Alex and Marty and Melman and Gloria, are kind of staring at you, and it's nighttime, and they're all really shocked because a flashlight is on them. I can still picture seeing that poster as I walked into the theater. What the Madagascar franchise has done has been huge for DreamWorks. First Madagascar movie was a big success in 2005. It spawned a sequel, Madagascar Escape to Africa, in 2008. Funny story around here, the first movie to be shown in a brand new IMAX that came to the area, the first ever IMAX theater, was Madagascar Escape to Africa. I remember going opening night, and it was in 2D, and I remember watching the film unfold on screen and how bright it was, how big these animated characters were. I'd only seen one or two other IMAX movies before, but seeing that projection on the giant screen for the first time for this film 10 years ago was quite something. Then came the Penguins of Madagascar TV series that DreamWorks and Nickelodeon teamed up on, and it won a bunch of awards, been nominated for several Emmys. That, of course, spawned the spin-off movie, Penguins of Madagascar, that came out in 2014. In between those was Madagascar 3, Europe's Most Wanted, my personal favorite of the Madagascar trilogy, because the script was elevated, it was really funny, it was dramatic, it was interesting, and Frances McDormand as Capitaine Dubois, one of the best, most underrated voice performances of an animated movie in the past 10 or 12 years. That is a great character. If you thought, if you've only seen Madagascar or Madagascar 2 and you're like, I didn't want to see a third one, and you've never seen Madagascar 3, you have to. It ends the series perfectly. They did have the Penguins of Madagascar movie afterwards, but for the main four characters, it ends the trilogy in such a great way. Originally, DreamWorks said, hey, we're going to do Madagascar 4. They canceled it. They said we're going to do Puss in Boots 2. They canceled it. DreamWorks has canceled a lot of projects in the last couple of years, but I'm glad they didn't do another core Madagascar movie because the series ends fine. Just like Shrek. Shrek Forever After ends perfectly. Toy Story 3 ends perfectly. For some reason, DreamWorks wants to do Shrek 5 and Pixar wants to do Toy Story 4. Please cancel them. Please. If you work in any of these studios and you're watching this right now, I know, a lot of people are working hard on these, but we don't need other feature films. We can have holiday specials. The Shrek holiday specials and the Toy Story holiday specials are great. But we don't need more feature-length films from the Shrek and Toy Story series. Really, it's completely unnecessary. Madagascar is still so popular. Maybe it'll get revived. We'll see what happens. But today, the 13th anniversary of the original Madagascar from DreamWorks Animation. Thanks for joining us here on LCJ Live today. More to talk about, though, because on Tuesday, my gosh, was the series finale of The Middle on ABC. It ran for 9 years. Did you guys watch the series finale of The Middle? Comment right now. Thanks for joining us, everybody who's joining us here on LCJ Live for Memorial Day Weekend Edition. Did you watch the series finale of The Middle? I've been with this show for all 9 years. I have watched it from the beginning. I have watched Axel, Brick, and Suhek grow up and Frankie and Mike deal with everything going on in Orson, Indiana. This was a very relatable show, and in the last several weeks, as all the stars have done interviews, they've talked about the relatability factor of this series, how The Middle has reached out to so many people all over the country and spoken to them, and there's something about it that everyone can relate to, whether it's a character, a situation, a story, a crazy neighbor, an incident, something that this show had to offer over the course of 9 years. The finale was Tuesday night. It was watched by about 7 million people, which is strong. I believe a little under 9 million people watched the pilot of The Middle back in 2009, and then it was consistently steady. It's amazing. This is the show that, in the ratings, has been consistently steady and strong over 9 years. It is rare to get a show like that these days. It's also rare for a show to go out on its own terms. ABC renewed it for a 9th season, put it on the lineup, and then a couple months later, the folks at The Middle, all the stars and the creators, came to ABC and said, we'd like to end it with this season. And they said, okay. And so they were able to take 24 episodes, flush everything out, create new storylines, and tie up everything with a bow. I think 1 in 40 shows these days gets to go out on their own terms and have a full season to wrap things up. And that's exactly what The Middle was able to do. And that's why its ratings were up this year. That's why its popularity grew over Modern Family, really, for the first time ever this year. Because it had this year-long campaign of, this is the final season. You gotta watch. You gotta see how it all ends. And the finale definitely did not disappoint. Now, again, I'm not going to spoil everything if you haven't watched it yet. But if you've been with this show from the beginning, you're going to like how it all ends. The reason you had to watch this show every single week is that there would be storylines, lines of dialogue, characters, things would continue on to the next week. References from season 1, references from the pilot were included in the finale episode, this 1-hour finale called A Heck of a Ride. Once again, a road trip, but it was a lot of people coming together as well for the majority of it. And I will say, for me, the best scene in the 1-hour finale episode of The Middle was a scene involving the 3 kids. Axel, Sue, and Brick are in the car at nighttime, and that's all I'll describe it with. And they have a conversation about their lives and where things are at. And it is a beautiful scene. It is an emotional scene, and if you've been with the show, I did tear up a little bit because it's the scene that gets you. And Frankie and Mike, Patricia Heaton, and Neil Flynn have some great moments as well in the 1-hour episode, but that scene, to me, was the strong moment of the middle series finale. And it does end very nicely. I will say that. It's not everything you expect by any means. Right to the end, a couple of big surprises right in the final scene. But it's a very nice way to end the show. I'm very pleased with how it ended. So thank you to The Middle for 9 amazing years. Back in 2012, when the show was starting its 4th season, I noticed Patricia Heaton on Twitter had this little thing where they were going to be on the cover of TV Guide for the holidays. And they said, if you get a TV Guide, we will send, you can send it to us here at the Warner Brothers studio, and we will sign it for you and send it back to you in time for Christmas. So that's exactly what I did. So here is this cover of TV Guide magazine from December 3 through 9, 2012. And I hope we can see it. I have a little delay here, so I'm going to make sure about the glare. But this cover has all 5 of your main cast members signing it. Patricia Heaton, Neil Flynn, Eden Scher, Charlie McDermott, and Atticus Shaffer. I think you guys can see that. And they have their signatures on it, and it was so cool to get as a Christmas gift. So thank you to the folks at The Middle for doing this. This was awesome. I got to meet Eden and Neil Flynn at the Critics' Choice Awards as well in 2016. Eden could not have been nicer. She was incredibly sweet and humbled by the fact that I came up to her and told her how much I loved The Middle and appreciated The Middle. And Neil Flynn was great. I went to him during a commercial break of the show. I met Eden before the show. I went to Neil during a commercial break, and he was stunned that somebody would come up to him and want to say hi. He was fantastic, and as tall as he looks, by the way. He's a tall guy, and he is as tall as he looks. And you can see Neil Flynn on a new NBC show called Abby's, which starts in the mid-season, so he will be back on TV screens very soon. But if you're a big fan of The Middle and you have not watched this 1-hour series finale yet, it's on your DVR. What are you waiting for? You gotta do it. You gotta do that today. Do it as fast as you can, because I am very pleased with how The Middle ended. All right. That's this edition, this new episode of LCJ Live. Next time on LCJ Live, I'm going to do a rest of summer movie preview. You can submit questions, and I'll talk about the big movies that are coming out in the rest of the summer movie season. That's going to be at a special time this coming week, so look out on social media for all of that. Look out for the date and the time for when this is going to be. You can submit questions, and I'll talk specifically about the big movies coming out June, July, and August. There's a lot to look forward to the rest of the summer movie season. Also, keep an eye on my social media this week, especially Twitter at LCJ Reviews, because I'm going to a festival called the Berkshire International Film Festival. It's in Great Barrington, Massachusetts. It's also in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. This week it starts Thursday. The opening night film is called American Animals. It's a crime drama that a lot of people are looking forward to. And the festival lineup has a lot of other big movies, including their closing film on next Sunday night, the Mr. Rogers documentary, Won't You Be My Neighbor, and a lot of big films in between. Go to the Berkshire International Film Festival website, which I believe is biffma.org. Yes, it is. The Berkshire International Film Festival website, biffma.org. You can still get tickets to a bunch of the movies. I'll be there for some films. I'll be posting some stuff on social media this week. Also, new blog at lights-camera-jackson.com. Jamie Foxx is back on Beat Shazam. It returns Tuesday on Fox. How come an Oscar winner is hosting a game show? I talk about that in the new blog post. New reviews will be up this week. And coming to my area this coming weekend is the Wheel of Fortune Wheelmobile. So I'll be posting some pictures. I'm going to go see the Wheelmobile, and so that'll be all over social media. Please have a nice Memorial Day tomorrow. Remember all those who sacrificed their lives and themselves for our country, all the service men and women, all those in the military on this Memorial Day tomorrow. And again, just recapping things here, Solo, $83 million, significantly lower than expected. That's going to be the big headline into tomorrow. Look for that too. Will Solo get to $100 million for the 4-day? Disney will have a new estimate tomorrow. The actuals will be revealed on Tuesday for the 4 days to see if Solo really did get there. So have a nice Memorial Day tomorrow. We'll see you real soon for another episode of LCJ Live, all about summer movies. I'm Lights Camera Jackson. Thank you for watching.